Hello, everyone. I'd like, first of all, to thank all the organizers of this conference, the conference committee, for giving me the chance to record my presentation. Honestly, it's an honor to address such a distinguished audience. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nilufar Abdi from Iran. I studied English literature at Yaz University, and I took an interest in children's literature and specifically picture books when I was working on my thesis. So here I am. As you can see on the screen, I'm going to talk about the role of nature and environment in The Promise, which is a picture book written by Nicola Davis and illustrated by Laura Carlin. I have divided my presentation into three sections. In the first part, I'm going to talk about ecofeminism. In the second part, about children, nature, and women. And in the third part, about the picture book itself, The Promise. So let's start by the first section, ecofeminism. Karen J. Warren illustrates that the key insight of ecological feminism is captured by the phrase, "it's all connected." In more precise terms, ecofeminism emphasizes the extent to which human realities can be combined and related to ecological realities. And of course, as a matter of fact, Warren believes that environmental issues are feminist issues. Ecofeminism has roots in the French traditional feminist theory. Simone de Beauvoir, in her book, The Second Sex, stated that in the logic of patriarchy, both women and nature are considered as other. Well, this otherness has had many consequences on these groups, such as pushing them to the borders and considering them objects devoid of rights, feeling, and value. Ecofeminism tries to fade the borderlines of hierarchies by presenting an unbiased viewpoint through which everyone can have a better understanding of oneself and in a larger scope of the world. In order to achieve this goal, the relationship between oppressed groups and the environment must be analyzed closely. Ecofeminists put emphasis on the role of dualistic thinking. The dualisms that exist, for example, are man, woman, human, animal, mind, body, culture, nature, and adult, children. The words in the first part of these binary oppositions have a higher position, and the ones in the second part of these binary oppositions mean they are oppressed or they have a lower position. Barry Thorne establishes that contemporary thought concerning the nature of childhood is dominated by three distinct images. And these images are like this. The first image represents children as victims of adult society. It means that children are vulnerable and children need help. In the second image, children actually are regarded as threats to adult society and they need to be controlled. The third image regards children as incompetent creatures and in need of adult guidance. Also, Barron said that children experience a sense of alienation, despair, and confusion because of double-bind characteristics of childhood, especially in modern and postmodern societies. For example, they're asked to assume adults' responsibilities that they haven't chosen by themselves, and on the other hand, they're excluded from political and social participation. Well, taken together, their conditions indicate that children, similar to women, and racial and ethnic minorities, and also other oppressed groups, and also like elements of non-human nature, they are exposed to social oppression. Since children, women, and nature are all oppressed in a male-dominating system, they are all connected and they share same features. And it is very important to know that they share same features, not inherently, but historically and socially, as Heidegger mentioned. Historically and socially, this is quite important. Pictures. Pictures in picture books are complex, iconic sounds based on Nikolaeva. And of course, the texts are conventional signs. Well, the combination of these iconic signs, which means pictures, and the conventional signs, which means text, will deliver overall meaning of the book. Of course, there can be a lot of interpretations and meanings for every work of art. So let's talk about the promise. The promise, as I said and I wrote here, is the journey of girls and women. It's the journey of girls and women infected by industrial society. I'm going to talk about this industrial society and how that is shown throughout this story. The promise deals with nature and environment and the relationship of human beings, especially women, with them. The authority of humans in this so-called civilized modern city is one issue that is quite bold in this book. And this book is trying to criticize that. Also, the events and characters have a major role in changing and challenging these issues, and this is quite interesting. Nature is completely ignored at the beginning of the story, and little by little it shows up, and the relationship between nature and the female character is going to be revived. Well, the binaries that exist in this story are culture, nature, and adult children. In culture, nature, we can see the industrial society here, the modern life that has a major role in this city, and the adult children about the how the children are oppressed in this story. The story attempts to pave the way for better understanding of the role of women, nature, and children throughout its impressive language, I can say, and also the illustrations. Let's briefly talk about the story for those who haven't read. Well, I, I'm not talking about the details, just very briefly. The story revolves around a little girl who is a thief, and she wants to steal a lady's bag, someone's bag. That person is actually a lady, and she avoids. She actually says that if you promise me to plant all the seeds and acorns in this bag, I will give this bag to you now. And doesn't think about, the girl doesn't think about anything and says, yeah, okay, sure, I will do that. And she gets the bag, and this is the turning point of the story. Then she decides to little by little plant those seeds and acorns. And from this point, we can see the changes that happen. The relationship is going to be revived. The nature is going to be bold in this picture book. You know, the colors are more eye-catching. You can see vivid, clear pictures and colors too. All right. As I said, the promise is the journey of women and girls who are infected by industrial society, and through nature and by the help of nature and the women, this relationship is going to be revived. This amendment happens by women in this story, and that is why I found it quite interesting. Because of the same experience that the woman and also the child that little girl, and also the nature, and the same experience that they are all oppressed here, and we can see how close they are and how connected they are to each other. Once again, I say that it is not because they are close internally, it's because of their historical and social relationship and connectedness. So I was talking about the industrial life here. Well, with the growth of industrialization and machine life, environment is increasingly under the control of human beings, as we know. And human being has always used nature as a means of their benefit. So the story also reveals the tragic consequence of this point of view and looking at nature as means. So Sandilans also stated that in Cambridge Introduction to Literature and Environment, of course, stated that patriarchal culture mainly focused on individuals and categorizing members of the society, while nature has always been all-inclusive and interconnected. And this is the first thing that comes to mind when we read the story, that how patriarchal culture, how the society has excluded nature and women and their role in the society. And little by little, with the rise of nature, we can see how everything is connected and how everything is just mingled and related to each other again. Well, the story manifests the stability and pervasiveness of nature. And in comparison to modern and industrial life, as I said, it actually tends to categorize and individualize the members of the society. Of course, a society that privileges culture and civilization over nature and dominates nature because it wants to achieve its goals, it does the same thing to women and children because it considers women and children its second citizens. So, in other words, as natural world was ignored and oppressed by the people who only thought about their benefit, children and women were also neglected through this story. The people of the city are extremely acculturated. If I show you some pictures of this picture book, you can see here, they are so acculturated and they are kind of faded in the background, and we can see the colors, the dim gloomy colors too. And little by little, by the story progress and when the story continues, we can see the changes. Of course, these changes that happen, all of the changes that happen are by the female characters, and that is why this story can be read through an ecofeminist point of view. And if you just take a look at the next picture I have here, you can see the little girl planting the acorns. Of course, not in this picture. I'm not allowed to use all of the pictures here. And you can just buy the book for yourself. And if you see here, by planting those seeds and acorns, we can see vivid colors, we can see life, and the atmosphere is quite lively. It's clear that people are more active, the children are everywhere, and everything is quite alive. But in the previous picture, you can see the colors. Of course, there are some other pictures that can be used to as an evidence for my explanations, but I'm not allowed to use all of them. Well, that was it. Once again, the promise is the journey and the story of a kind of a revived relationship, the long lost relationship that exists between human beings, specifically women and nature. So that was all. Thank you so much. And here in this next part, of course, I have included a few works I have studied and worked on, and of course I use them for my study. There are a lot more, but I couldn't include all of them here. And of course, I wanted to thank Mr. Zekavat for his scholarly instructions throughout my study. Thank you so much and have a great time. Thanks for your attention.